Hey everybody, welcome back to our Friday nights. This is Black Friday. My name is Bolaji, and you of course know RJ. He's behind the scenes. But welcome to Rock the Block presents our third annual Black Fridays. We have been doing this now for 3 years, where we watch a Black movie or Black inspired movie, and we try to have a community discussion. And so today we are watching Justice on Trial, the movie. And we have the writer and producer, Mr. Chad Cooper, here with us. So welcome, Mr. Chad Cooper.
Thank you, Bolaji.
He had to, there's a reference there, so that's an inside joke. That's an inside joke. So it's actually Mr. Chad Lawson Cooper. Let me correct myself. So Mr. Cooper, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great here in Tampa. It's a lot warmer than New York.
You got the suit on and everything, so we're hanging with Mr. Cooper today.
That's right.
All right. The real Mr. Cooper. You know, shout out to Mark Cooper. We love you too, but this is the real Mr. Cooper.
That's right.
So Justice on Trial, the movie. What's it about?
It's about two civil rights attorneys suing the U.S. Justice Department for reparations and ongoing damages, systemic racism for African Americans. So we bring back time traveler witnesses into a modern day courtroom to tell their stories to a modern day multicultural jury, Black, whites, and Hispanics. They deliberate their stories, but also all the way up into George Floyd, Breonna Taylor.
Man, this movie could be considered controversial.
Absolutely.
Because you're talking about reparations. Number one, you're talking about the brutality and the injustices that Black people have faced in this country and across the world. Still face. So what inspired you to do this?
Well, I was doing a show in the DMV, and you know what that is.
I know the DMV, DC, Maryland, Virginia. What's up?
And that particular day, because we don't have Cracker Barrel in New York, and that's
Cracker Barrel.
Well, I travel so much, so when I'm traveling, that's one of my favorite restaurants. And I'm sitting there, and this message comes across my phone, and it's a video of Philando Castile being murdered. And I think I was the only Black person in Cracker Barrel that day. And as I sat there, tears ran down my face. And I said to myself, this has to stop, because this is demasculating the Black man. It's doing something to the morale of just Black people in general, that now we're getting shot just by riding Black. We're getting shot by jogging Black. And I felt that, you know, I'm not the Al Sharpton type in terms of getting out and marching that way. What could I do? And I felt this epiphany to use the talents that I have through theater and film. And so that's when the whole concept of Justice on Trial came. I said, well, what could America really do to apologize to the African American diaspora? And besides words, because words are cheap. And the only thing that could really make it right is to bridge in the wealth gap. Because if you look at most crimes, it's because of the lack of money. And we were brought over here, and I like to say this, we were kings and queens brought over here made to be slaves and to work for free. The president, Andrew Johnson, agreed to give reparations to the slaves, but then they thought about it and said, well, now the slave owners are not going to have free labor, so we got to take care of them first. So they took the reparations back from African Americans or former slaves and gave it to the slave owners. And then you got the Jim Crow laws that kicked in, and the sharecroppers. So you're not legally a slave, but we're going to let you work on our farm, and we're going to charge you rent for the shack that you live in. And if the crops don't yield what we think they should yield, then you're going to owe us money. So it's another legalized way of manipulation and slavery. And so when I look at the strength of Black America, I have to applaud many of us, because we started 10 steps, 20 steps, 100 steps behind white America Well, we inherited generational poverty. They inherited generational wealth. And some of us, as Maya Angelou said, still we rise.
Still we rise. And I love the fact you remind me of Nina Simone right now, because she was talking about how it's really the duty of artists to show the times.
Yes.
And to, in their own way, still advocate, still fight, still be true, still honor, still honestly, truly get in the mud as they can. So your artistry is film.
Yes.
So let's transition to what made you become a filmmaker. Like, where did it start from? Where did little Chad? I feel it was like little Chad loved movies or just loved recording stuff.
It's funny you say that because I have a son. His name is Little Chad. He's in the movie, by the way.
Okay.
He plays Emmett Till.
Emmett Till's character. I was apprehensive about posting that video specifically, but I did eventually. But let's talk about you. How did we come to be filmmaker Chad Lawson Cooper?
Well, I from a child, I knew I was going to do something in the arts. And about 13 years ago, well, I've been in the entertainment industry for approximately 20 years as a professional entertainer, playwright, touring playwright. And about 13 years ago, we attempted to film our first movie, which was entitled Family Mess. And at that time, we didn't have all the accoutrements that we really needed, but we still made it happen. And then the footage got lost. So I'm still, out touring. In 2016 comes rather, here comes Justice on Trial. And so we started touring with that, and I get to Los Angeles, and I felt like a pivot was going to happen. I get to Los Angeles, and I'm going to present for the off-Broadway play, Justice on Trial, which is amazing, and still touring it, by the way, as well.
I saw, because there's the movie and then there's the play.
That's right.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting in this church right across from Nipsey Hussle, right across from the area that he got shot in at this AME church. And this little preppy guy comes in, and I said, "Oh my God, I'm not in the mood to deal with stuck-up people today." And he sits right by me. And so as the Pass the Peace is going on, I turn my phone over, and my FAMU logo was on the back. And he tapped me. He said, "What you know about that?" And I said, "I went to FAMU." He said, "So did I. What you doing here?" So we started talking, and I was telling him about, well, we had just did 2 shows at Beyonce's mom's theater, and then we were doing this big theater in Wilshire, Bell. And I told him the concept. He said, "This needs to be a movie." And he followed me out the door, and we ended up setting up meetings, and that's how Justice on Trial, the movie, started. Then Harry Lennox, who is a Hollywood veteran from way back,
The Matrix,
the 5 Heartbeats, The Matrix, Ray Charles, Superman. He too is a superhero, the Martian Manhunter. We ended up connecting shortly after then, and with our collaborative ideas, we decided we would start a company called Great Faith Entertainment to produce, I would say, not necessarily one genre of film, but films that promote Black excellence. And so from there we started creating movies, and that's how I became a filmmaker. Here we are.
So you have traveled, you've met so many different people. What has been the experience, or what experience have you created for everyone else? Like, what kind of feedback have you received about this movie specifically?
Everybody that's seen this movie. In fact, we did a Princeton,
Jersey.
Yeah, Princeton. Yep, that's Jersey review.
I was just saying, Jersey be in the house all the time.
Everybody sees the relevance, the importance of it. It clearly lays out the case, and so it's been really, really good and informative. It's not one of those movies that has a lot of buffoonery.
Mm-hmm.
It's really detailed to the point, and so we're actually planning on doing another version of it, the life of Sheila Jackson Lee, Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee, who actually has a real bill in Congress right now, HR 40, which is introducing reparations.
Okay, so HR 40, Sheila
Jackson Lee,
Lee.
When we did Houston to a packed out audience last June, came in and gave the production, me and the production, backing and honor, accolades from the United States Congress, as being the only movie and stage production that legitimately deals with reparations.
So if you're not here, we understand, but we're watching it on GT Network. So thank you so much for giving us permission to put this on the network so that people can really watch this at home with their families. Because imagine children seeing this. What do you think, or how would you truly have that conversation with children?
Well, I would like to think that the children, the feedback that we've gotten from children that have seen both the movie and the play, it gives them hope of seeing Black people doing things that are kind of like world-changing things. When you see Harriet Tubman, who was the first general in the Army, woman general, when you see the mistreatment of Emmett Till, that story is just still sends chills down my back. And then you see W.E.B. Du Bois now, who is not a part of this movie, but will be a part of the other one. But Medgar Evers, who dealt with socioeconomics within the African American community, and he was called a bigot and a racist by white people because he only wanted to show Black people how to build their communities just as any other culture does. And the dollar leaves us within 4 hours.
4 hours, but stays in other communities for sometimes weeks on end and further. My biggest take so far we're going to watch the trailer. I want you guys to see it and really just take it in for a second before we watch the movie at 7. So today we have popcorn. So, it's an intimate situation. We usually try to create intimate settings where people can get to really have the conversation. So it's not a big theater. It's really just intimate. So we do appreciate you coming. What takeaway would you like to give adults from this? Because most of our viewing audience is adults.
That we have to keep fighting. If nobody fights for you, fight for yourself. The reparations is something that I believe that's owed to us. It's like having this land or so, and it's here, but I don't want to go through the pressure of going through all of that to get it. No, we owe it to the next generation. The economists have said that somewhere between $14 trillion and $50 trillion, you really can't put a number on it.
You can't.
But if $14 trillion was paid out just from the state of New York during COVID,
you mean
the whole government can't, out of a net worth of 120, roughly 128, 130 trillion dollars, give Black people 14 trillion to at least make an effort to pay for some of the damages that's been done. I mean, separated families that still to this day, you have cousins marrying cousins. It is so many, legs to what was done, but it's something that's owed to us. If it was $14 trillion put into the African American community, the descendants of slaves, right now everybody would get somewhere between $250,000 to $300,000, and it would be life changing for some people. And then some people say, well, if you give people that kind of money that's never had, well, let me try. Now, once you've given it to me, then then I have nothing I can say. But it can be done through land. It can be done through education.
Mhm.
It can be done a whole lot of ways. It could be divvied out.
Yes.
That they just don't try. The Indians, they get reparations. Japanese Americans, they've gotten reparations. Chinese Americans have gotten reparations. Even the Jews have gotten reparations, but not the Black people.
The ones who
Built
built and were foundational in everything for America.
Yes.
All right, so we're going to watch the trailer. So please go ahead and introduce your movie to our audience.
Absolutely. You're getting ready to watch Justice on Trial, the movie, which again depicts two civil rights attorneys suing the U.S. Justice Department for reparations and ongoing damages to African Americans, while bringing back time traveler witnesses into a modern day courtroom to tell their stories, such as Harriet Tubman, Medgar Evers, and Emmett Till. And it shows a wide span of the ongoing damages, as well as the case is built rather for reparations. And then the jury deliberation really gets intense, because you really kind of gives you an overview of what I think, in my eyes, in my artistry, what people really think. And Todd Bridges plays one of the civil rights attorneys. You have Supreme Court Justice Louis Harper. Dad, he plays the Supreme Court Justice in this particular movie. You have Doran Wilson. Many of you would know him from the Monique show, The Parkers. He plays the professor that's the foreman of the jury in this movie. And it's an amazing cast. And to bring new people, Asia Diamond, I think, will be joining us. She claps back at one of the racist white ladies that's on the jury. So I think it'll be entertaining and a wonderful picture of what needs to happen in America.
All right, so tune in. Here's the trailer for Justice on Trial, the movie.
After 400 years of slavery, Jim Crow, segregation, African Americans are suing the U.S. Department of Justice for reparations and damages.
Let's deliberate these facts. Now, the Justice Department is against African Americans.
The amount could be in the several trillions of dollars.
The United States does not look kindly upon individuals who do such acts.
And as I sat here, I realized he is Trayvon Martin, and Trayvon Martin is him.
Yes, Your Honor. I'd like to bring in Alita Ross, a.k.a. Harriet Tubman.
You're supposed to be iconic time travel witnesses.
Over the past 400 years of denying people a fair hearing.
Unless the government agrees to be sued, it can't be. And guess what? The government does not agree. So case closed.
Hey everybody, welcome back. We are here with Chad Lawson Cooper, the author and producer of Justice on Trial, the movie. So you guys just watched the trailer, and just watching the trailer in itself, which I've watched a couple different times, I want to pinpoint a couple things before we actually get into the movie. We still have some time. So this takes place in modern day. What year is it really that we're
2020.
2020.
Yeah.
So Justice on Trial 2020. Was this during COVID, pre-COVID, or like right after COVID?
It happened. We were in select AMC theaters a week before COVID shut everything down.
Really? Okay. So here we are, COVID 2020. And it is a movie about reparations.
Yes.
And the world is about to basically shut down. People are going to be home with their families,
Yes.
and we have justice on trial. What was it like during that time for you with this movie?
Well, being that we were only in select AMC theaters for a few days, and then we were thinking with COVID that perhaps we would never ever be able to go back into a movie theater. And when we debuted it virtually, I was laying down on that Sunday, and Al Sharpton's show came on MSNBC, and normally I don't just randomly have it on that station, but I saw the movie trailer, and I said,
"That's me."
Wait, that's my movie. They did a whole dialogue about justice on trial, and it blew up. We had several downloads of it on that day, and got great reviews that it was something people could watch, and especially with the George Floyd thing just not too long ago happening. Breonna Taylor, it just happened, and so it just made good conversation. Kwame Kilpatrick's son is in this movie as well. He plays the white civil rights attorney's son, because it's an interracial marriage, so you see all of that in there.
And you've taken this to select the AMC theaters, but how far have you traveled with this movie? Have you traveled outside the country yet with it?
I think it shows in other cities and states and countries or whatever. Somebody else that works for me handles all of the, what we call it, aggregation. And but I think in Europe, I think if not, we need to have it in Europe and in Africa.
I have a connection for Ghana and Nigeria, because we definitely need to see it, because there's a lot of ignorance as far as what's happened in this country to our family.
Did I tell you that we're filming the W.E.B. Du Bois movie? And so Ghana, I've been working with Ghana. So we got, in fact, his grandson is over there now.
Trying to make it happen.
We just, we're doing some things. So Justice on Trial definitely needs to be in there. I also want to say my wife is in Justice on Trial. She plays Harriet Tubman.
I was looking at the credits. I was looking at the names. I was like, okay, this is a family thing. So you have your
Chad
son
too. And so it's just to see the extraordinary artistry of Chad too, though, and particularly he's a born actor, and you can feel every fiber of Emmett Till through him.
Just the trailers. Okay, so we're going to wrap this up and get ready to watch the movie. We do thank you again.
Thank you.
I want you guys to go to GT Network, which is on Roku. You have it on Amazon Fire TV, Apple TV, and if you're in Georgia, which Asia Diamond is, I was like, oh, you have Comcast, tune in real quick. But if you're in Georgia or other select cities and states, you can tune in. So GT Network, all you have to do is search for it and you can watch the movie. Here we are. And of course, everyone in here is drinking some Omi water, which is of course my company as well. Y'all know I do a lot of different things. So I really am. Shout out to the popcorn company that we had today. There's a lot of different people who support us, not just physically. Not everyone is here. And Tampa in itself is still very, small. Grace Point, shout out to Grace Point. They're here for your mental health services here in Tampa. They allowed us to use this room. So they sponsored this event. They are our main top sponsor, and they sponsored our Juneteenth. Awesome. They sponsored our Juneteenth event last year. They have really been integral with us. Food was passed out here during COVID to different residents every single week. So shout out to, we had some people here who were part of that, food distribution, the pantry that we had here. So awesome. Being in the community is what Rock the Block is about. We are about reconditioning our communities. So of course, we're gonna let you know, coming up, we have a couple different events. We have our Juneteenth Festival at the Raymond James Stadium where the Bucks play. So we'll be back there for the 3rd year.
I'm working on a Juneteenth movie too.
We don't mind being extras in there, let us know. But it's very important because I know how pivotal it was for us to really do what we were doing. We didn't have the gravity of it. But tune into GT Network. We're about to watch Justice on Trial.
And I like to say, I'm very thankful that my daughter, who lives in Orlando, she and my granddaughters drove all the way here, and they're here. Alana and I don't want to start messing up names.
That's granddad.
But and the rest of y'all. And my daughter's name is Jasmine. And so thankful for her and one of my sons as well. We call him Chucky Dicky, and he lives here in the Tampa area. So
Okay. Hey.
thank you all for coming and supporting, and those that are watching online as well. Thank you for supporting this cause. Together we stand.
Divided we fall.
Divided we fall. We gotta keep standing.
Let's do it. So Justice on Trial, the movie, Mr. Chad Lawson Cooper. Make sure you stay tuned for after, where we'll be having our community discussion. He's gonna get his clap. All right.